That day, the hall smelled like peonies and money. By the time I saw the seating chart, my left eye was already twitching from too much hairspray and not enough food. The seating chart was on a gold easel by the ballroom doors, all script fonts and eucalyptus leaves taped to the corners. People crowded around laughing when they found their names. My daughter, Emma, squeezed my hand and pointed. "Look, Mommy," she whispered. "They spelled my name right." They did. I found us. Debbie, table 4. My husband Mark, also table 4. Then I kept scanning. At the bottom, under a printed label that said staff meal, I saw Emma, 10, Caleb, 8. I stared at it so long the letters blurred. The other kids, my nephews and nieces, were at table 2, right next to the head table. Little flowers by their names. Junior wedding party. Emma's smile faded. "Are we helpers?" she asked, so small. Caleb's bow tie was crooked. He was proud of it. My mom stepped beside me in her navy dress and pearls. She glanced at the chart, then at my kids. "Don't make a thing, Debbie," she said under her breath. "They run around. They ruin photos. We put them near the kitchen so the servers can keep an eye. It's a wedding, not daycare." I couldn't swallow. The back of my throat went tight. Emma heard. I knew she heard. "They're not babies," I managed. "And the other kids. Blood," Mom said, short and flat. "Don't start. It's Hannah's day. Be gracious." My hands shook. I fixed Caleb's bow tie because it gave me something to do and because he thought that meant he looked like the men. People brushed past us. I could smell the butter of the rolls, the cold flowers, the cologne of my father. He laughed with a cousin across the hall like nothing was happening. Emma tugged my sleeve. "If we're staff, do we get aprons?" she asked, trying a joke the way she does when she's scared. I nodded because my mouth wouldn't work, and because if I opened it, I might not stop. I pulled both of my kids into me, crouched so I was at their height, and thanked God for my nylon lashes because my eyes were burning, and I knew crying would make Mom hiss. I straightened, smoothed my dress, and smiled like my teeth weren't clenched. I told my son, "You're with me." Then I walked away from the chart and into the hallway toward the hotel's conference office, where the wedding coordinator was tying a ribbon on a basket of programs. "I'm Debbie. I'm 38, a bank manager in Cleveland. I grew up in Parma with parents who believe in two things: family dinners and not talking about money, which is ironic because they talk to me about money constantly. I married young, divorced at 30, married again at 35. I have 2 kids, Emma, 10, and Caleb, 8. Emma came to me through foster care when she was 6 and never left. Caleb is my nephew by blood, but I've raised him since he was 3. We've been a unit for a long time. They are mine. I was the responsible one since my first W-2. When I was 23, I figured out my parents' overdue gas bill and paid it so they wouldn't lose heat in February. I put Mom's car insurance on my credit card and set it to auto-pay. When my brother Kyle bought a truck he couldn't afford, I helped him refinance by covering the gap for 4 months so it didn't get repossessed. I told myself I was keeping the family afloat. They told me I was so good with money. We all pretended that was a compliment and not a leash. It didn't feel like a leash when I used my employee discount to get my parents a better rate on a personal loan. It felt like being useful. It didn't feel anything when Mom texted, "Can you spot us $300 this week?" And I sent it before lunch. It felt weird at Christmas, the year Emma got a craft kit from a dollar store and my nephew got an iPad, but I told myself my sister had more money this year, and that was fine. It felt worse when my kids weren't in the cousins' matching shirts at the reunion because they came later and we didn't have their sizes. I took the photo of all the kids in red and white stripes and told my 2 the photographer needed helpers to hold the snack basket. They stood by the cooler while everyone clapped. There were 100 cuts like that. Emma's drawing of Grandma's house thrown into the recycle bin with coffee grounds on it because the fridge is for appointments. Caleb being told he wasn't ring-bearer material, then asked to pass out programs instead. Family photos where someone would say, Okay, now just the blood. And look at me to move my girl aside. We'll do one with everyone later, they'd say. And later would never come. I kept explaining. They're old-fashioned. They'll adjust. It's not about Emma. It's not about Caleb. It's not about my choices. Then, last summer, I said no. Once. Kyle walked into my branch and asked me to co-sign a new loan to consolidate his credit cards. He was 2 months behind. He wanted $18,000 and my signature. I said no. I explained credit risk in simple words. He called me cold. He told Mom. Mom said, "He's your brother." After that, I noticed small changes. Mom forgot to invite my kids to Cousin's Day at the lake, but remembered to ask if I could send gas money. At Thanksgiving, my kids ate plates on the dryer in the laundry room because we ran out of chairs. No one moved anything so they could sit at the fold-out. When I said something, Mom said, "You see problems everywhere. Sit down." Then came Hannah's engagement, my little sister. I love her. I loved her before. There were deposit invoices with my name on them. She cried when she told me they had to push the date because they couldn't afford the venue she wanted. I said I'd cover the deposit because I could. It was $47,000 for the ballroom, and the plated dinner for 180 people. I paid the venue directly from my account. The contract was in my name because their credit wasn't great, and the hotel wanted a stronger party on paper. I told myself it was just a family helping family thing. When she sent me the link for the photographer, I paid his retainer too. When the florist wanted her final installment early, I covered that as well. Mom said, "We will pay you back." No numbers. No plan. We will. The junior wedding party conversation looked like progress. Emma and Caleb would wear the same colors as the other kids. They would carry flower cones. At the rehearsal, Hannah kissed Emma's hair and told her she looked pretty. Mom watched and said nothing. I let myself exhale. And then the seating chart. And then blood. And then my daughter looking at paper that put her beneath the vendor kids like she came with the chafing dishes. It was not about a table. It was about every picture I took of my kids in their dress clothes, standing near doors waiting for a corner where they were allowed. It was about every auto-pay in my banking app labeled Mom and Utilities and Kyle, and how the only thing they wanted from me that wasn't money was my silence. I found the coordinator in the office behind the ballroom. She was tying a ribbon on a basket, like her life depended on it. Her name was Allie. We'd met twice during planning meetings. She knew me as the one who signs the checks. "Ally," I said, and my voice sounded like I had been running. She looked up and smiled that event smile. "Hi, everything okay?" "No," I said. "I need to cancel the reception. People say the wildest things at weddings." You could see her brain slide around on the tracks trying to find a place to land. "I what?" I set my clutch on her desk and took out my phone. I opened email. I had the contract PDF starred. I scrolled to the signature page with my name across it. "The contract for the ballroom," I said, keeping my voice low. "It's in my name. The deposit came from my account. I want to cancel. You can keep the deposit. I understand the terms, but there won't be a reception under my contract." She swallowed. "Mrs. Carlin!" "Debbie," I said. "Please, I'm not doing this to ruin anything. I'm doing this because I paid for a family I thought my kids were part of." She flicked her eyes to the open ballroom door. I could see the head table, the champagne flutes lined up like soldiers. I could hear the DJ testing levels. The coordinator took the phone, scrolled, checked her binder. I watched her finger stop at my name on the vendor list. She looked 25 all of a sudden. "I have to confirm with my manager," she said. "And with legal. It's unusual. I get it," I said. "But I'm the contract holder and I'm not comfortable proceeding." She made a call. She used words like binding, right of rescission, which didn't apply, force majeure, which didn't apply either, and client directive. I waited. I grieved. The room smelled like tape and eucalyptus. I heard my mother laugh across the hall and wanted to break something. Ally hung up, then looked at me like I was handing her a live wire. "Okay," she said. "We can't refund the deposit. We can cancel future services. We can stop the bar, the servers, the kitchen plating. We'll have to tell the bride." I'll do that, I said. Please, just don't seat anyone. Don't start service. Give me 20 minutes. She nodded. I felt bad for her. None of this was her fault. I thanked her. It sounded ridiculous. I found my father first. He was by the windows looking at the fountain on the patio. He looked good in the rented tux. He always looks like a man who wins raffle baskets. Lucky at things. His face lit when he saw me. You tell your mother to stop fussing, he said. Dad, I said. I canceled the reception. He laughed. He thought it was a joke. Then he saw my face and went pale so fast. I watched the color drain down his neck. What do you mean? I mean, I'm the one who paid the $47,000 deposit, I said too calmly, like I was explaining a checking account to a new client. The contract is in my name. I'm not hosting a room that puts my kids at the staff table. The ceremony can go on. Everything else is on you. If you want a reception, you can sign a new contract and pay for it yourselves. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. He gripped the back of a chair like he needed it to stand. Debbie, he said finally. Come on. Mom joined us then. Alarmed by the stillness. What's going on? I looked at her. For once, I didn't feel like my insides were made of wet paper. Who do you think paid for tonight? I said softly. Because it wasn't the wedding fairy. Your sister... Mom started, but the way she said it told me she knew. Find your sister, I told my parents. Tell her the hotel needs a new signer if you want to eat here. Tell her I hope she has a beautiful marriage. Tell her my kids and I will be at the diner across the street. It took about 20 minutes for the machine to stop moving. It's hard to stop a machine that's built to celebrate. The DJ killed the music. The lights over the dance floor went from romantic to regular. Servers stopped placing salads. The bar closed its shutters with a polite clatter. The coordinators stood by the ballroom door with the professionalism of someone who would go home and scream into a pillow 3 hours later. I watched from the hallway, the way you watch your house after you've pulled the fire alarm. I held Emma's hand. Caleb leaned into my hip, tired and confused. Are we in trouble? He asked. No, baby, I said. We're doing what's fair. Aunt Leela found us by the ice machine. She is one of the few people in my family who can say my name without judgment. Debbie, she breathed, eyes wide. They sat your babies where? I showed her the chart. She put a hand to her mouth. Jesus, she said, then caught herself. She crouched to Emma. You come with me, sweetheart. You sit with me. She looked at me. I don't blame you. I can't let them show my kids where they rank. My voice shook again, not angry. Grief. I know, she said. She kissed Emma's forehead. You are my niece, she told her. Blood is just one way to be family. Hannah texted while I was waiting for the bathroom with Emma. What did you do? The first message said, then fix it now. Then, you're ruining my life. I stared at my screen. Then I put it in my purse. We walked through the lobby, past the cake I had tasted with Hannah 2 months ago. It was lemon with raspberry filling. It looked like a magazine picture. It also looked like it was for someone else. We went to the diner across the street. I sat my kids in a booth, ordered pancakes at 4 inches the afternoon because that was what felt gentle. I took off my heels. I let Emma hold my phone to play her game, because I didn't have anything left to say that would make me cry. My phone kept buzzing on the Formica. Mom, come back. Don't be dramatic. Dad, you're making a mistake. Hannah, you are a monster. Kyle, wow, over a table. The groom's mother, please reconsider. We can move your children. The coordinator, we have canceled per your request. Please reply to confirm to this email. I typed confirmed with my thumb. The smallest, most final word I've ever sent. Mark slid into the booth 10 minutes later, coatless like he'd run out on instinct. He looked at the kids, then at me, shock in his face and something like pride. You okay? He asked. No, I said. But I'm done. He put his hand over mine. He's a quiet man. He said, good. A fight broke out in the group chat I forgot I was in. Cousin Tasha, did you seriously sit Debbie's kids with the staff? My mother. Don't put family business here. Tasha. Then don't do ugly things in public. The ceremony went on anyway. Someone posted a photo of Hannah walking down the aisle under fairy lights. She looked beautiful. I felt sad I didn't see it with my own eyes. Sad and also relieved I wasn't sitting there while my stomach turned to acid. Then came the calls. I let most go to voicemail and listened later. Like junk mail you still read. Mom, you embarrassed us. You humiliated your sister. You could have just asked us to move the kids. Dad, you backed us into a corner. Couldn't you be flexible? Hannah, it was my day. You can be mad later. Why did you make it about you? Kyle, you think you're better because you have money. You use it to control us. I didn't respond for hours. When I did, I used one sentence and copied it into each thread. I won't fund a family my kids aren't part of. No caps, no emojis, nothing they could twist, just the boundary, plain as a street sign. They came to the house the next morning. Mom knocked like she lived there. I let them in because my kids were on the living room carpet and I wanted them to see I wasn't hiding. Dad stood in the entryway, like a man selling siding. Mom cried right away, eyes flicking to the framed photos. Park trips, first day backpacks, Halloween costumes that didn't match anyone else's theme. Sit, I said. I poured coffee because that is what I do when people cry in my kitchen. Mom took it and didn't drink. Dad didn't sit. You proved your point, Dad said. You heard everyone. Are you happy? No, I said. But I won't keep paying to be told my kids are less. We would have moved them, Mom said. If you had asked, it was a mix-up. It was a choice, I said. Like just blooded photos. Like the dryer at Thanksgiving. Like every time you forgot their names on shirts but texted me for money. The money, Dad snapped. Like there it was. You act like you threw us crumbs. You helped. Families help. Families include, I said. I am done hosting things that don't seat my kids at the table. So that's it, Mom asked. You cut us off? I chose each word like I was placing it on a scale. I'm not your backup bank, I said. I'm not your cafeteria. I'm not your fixer. I'm your daughter. If you want me in your life, you get all of us. That's the cost. Mom rubbed her face, looking old for the first time. People will talk, she said. They always do, I said. Let them include the part where you put your granddaughter with the busboys. They left without a slam door. Just a quiet withdrawing, like a tide lowering a few inches. I didn't send money that week. 2 days later, my phone lit up with Mom's usual text. Can you spot us $300 this week? I stared at it, thumb hovering, then put the phone face down. Doing nothing felt louder than a speech. That night, Tasha texted me a photo. The reception ended up at the Irish bar down the street. Beer, sliders, and plastic baskets. It was fine, she wrote. But they were quiet. Aunt Leela told off your mom in the bathroom. I wish you could have seen it. Then, I'm proud of you. I tucked my kids into bed and sat on the edge of Emma's mattress until she fell asleep. I traced the shape of her hand in the air. You are mine, I whispered, always at my table. 2 weeks later, I hosted Sunday dinner. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes in the bowl my grandmother used. I set 3 chairs and left 2 empty on purpose. Not because I expected anyone, but because the space felt honest. I wanted the kids to see there was room. Tasha came with her little boy, Theo. Aunt Leela sent a pie with a note. Save me a slice next time. Emma made place cards from folded index cards. Mommy, Mark, Emma, Caleb, Theo, hearts drawn in the corners. She asked if she should write Nana and Pop on the other ones. Let's just write family, I said. She wrote it in purple and balanced it between the empty plates. She didn't ask if we should put them by the kitchen. We ate and laughed and spilled milk and wiped it up. Ordinary, like breathing clean air in a room that used to smell like someone else's cologne. After dinner, I opened the drawer where I'd shoved my clutch from the wedding and pulled out the 2 little white tent cards I'd slipped into it that day. Emma, 10, and Caleb, 8, printed in script under staff meal. I laid them on the table. Emma frowned. Why do you have those? I said, because I took them. I slid them into a cheap black frame from the dollar store. With a pen, I drew one clean line through staff and wrote family above it in my messy grown-up handwriting. I hung it by the door where we keep the kids' art and school notices. Handmade crooked hours. My phone pinged. A text from Mom. No ask, just, how are the kids? I stared for a long time, then typed, good. We're having Sunday dinner. You are welcome here when you can be kind to them. If not, we're okay. No reply. That was okay. I loaded the dishwasher, while the kids built a blanket fort. Mark put on music low enough we could still talk. Tasha helped Emma fold napkins into little triangles. Caleb ran in with a foil crown and set it on my head. Queen, he announced. Mom, I corrected, smiling. Just Mom. I don't know what happens next. Maybe they come around. Maybe they don't. I know what won't happen. I won't pay to watch my kids be erased. The checkbook stayed in the drawer. The chair at the end of the table stayed empty for now, reserved for anyone who chooses us as we are. Emma slid her hand under mine at the table. We sat like that a while. Then we ate tea.